Hello and welcome. My name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated. And we need to be self-educated because if we're not, the only choice we have left is to believe what other people tell us. And so again, that's what we're going to have a look at. We're going to have a look at the story they tell us about what was going on in the 1500s and the technology and how people lived. And then we're going to have a look at an actual book from the 1500s with images of the cities and basically of how people lived. So let's get into it. And here we have Tyre or Tyre. The title is The Position and Shape of the Most Ancient and Important Medieval City. Oh, sorry, Trier or Trier. And I believe this is in Germany. And this date is 1572. And so how were people living in 1572? Well, they were living in cities that were walled, that had massively oversized cathedrals, spires that just huge. And basically, you know, look at this. We've got all trees and nice sort of park areas by the looks of it here. We've got canals with boats on them. Got over here, you can see this is a bridge, big stone bridge. Again, now these look to be drawn wooden. I'm not sure. They're pretty big and they look like they're probably stone. St. Martin, some more cathedrals. And this is basically the one, you know, like the cities they were living in, big walled cities, very castle-esque, you know, walls with the turrets and stuff, canals going through the cities, and everything masonry, brick buildings everywhere, and huge oversized cathedrals and spires going up into the air. So a bit different to the story that they tell us. Okay, so here we are on factsarefacts.com, life in the 1500s. The next time you're washing your hands and complain because the water temperature isn't just how you like it, think about how things used to be. Here are some facts about the 1500s. Most people got married in June because they took their yearly bath in May and still smelled pretty good by June. However, they were starting to smell, so brides carried a bouquet of flowers to hide the body odor. Hence the custom today of carrying a bouquet when you get married. Okay. Yeah, not sure if I want to believe that one. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Baths consisted of a big tub filled with hot water. The man of the house had the privilege of the nice, clean, fresh water, then all the other sons and men, then the women, finally the children, and last of all the babies. By then the water was so dirty you could actually lose someone in it. Hence the saying, don't throw the baby out with the bath water. Okay. Houses had thatched roofs, thick straw piled high with no wood underneath. It was the only place for animals to get warm, so all the cats and other small animals lived in the roof. When it rained, it became slippery, and sometimes the animals would slip off the roof, hence the saying, it's raining cats and dogs. Again. Okay. There was nothing to stop things from falling into houses. They posed a real problem in the bedroom where bugs and other droppings could mess up your nice clean bed. Hence, a bed with big posts and a sheet hung over the top afforded some protection. That's how canopy beds came into existence. Who knows? All right, so basically, the floor was dirt. Only the wealthy had something other than dirt, hence the saying dirt poor. So all these things, everything about the 1500s so far, it's all about people being poor, right? They haven't got proper roofs. They can't have baths. They walk around stinking all the time. In those old days, they cooked in the kitchen with a big kettle that always hung over the fire. Every day they lit the fire and added things to the pot. They ate mostly vegetables and did not get much meat. They would eat the stew for dinner, leaving the leftovers in the pot to get cold overnight, then start the next day. Sometimes stew had food in it that had been there quite a while. Hence the rhyme, peas porridge, hot peas, porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot and days old. I've never heard that saying. So there you go again, right? They weren't smart enough to even, clean their pots. They just kept on putting more and more in. So so this is a story of some just stupid people who didn't know what they were doing, right? Lead cups were used to drink ale or whiskey. The combination would sometimes knock the imbibers out for a couple of days. So basically it's just all about people being poor and living in the mud. This is unexplainable facts about living in the 1500s. During the 16th century, people lived in housing much different than the homes we know today. From the materials used in the roofing and the flooring to the kinds of meals they ate, we've come a long way from the 1500s. And in this article, you will learn how the inside of a home looked, the typical meal, and the common health concerns of the 16th century. Low thatched roofs capped most of the homes in the 16th century. Old straw was laid across to create a roof which offered a warm hideaway for insects and rodents. If the roof became slippery or started to sag from rain showers, creatures had a way of entering the home by falling through the straw and landing on the floor below. Flooring was comprised of dirt. The wealthy were able to afford other materials such as slate. Blah, blah, blah. Slate caused health hazards because it was extremely slippery. Straw was used to build beds, which usually became infested with lice, fleas, and ticks. Because of the sleeping materials and quality of homes, lice and fleas were a common problem for the households. Rats also run rampant in neighborhoods, responsible for spreading disease. So it's the same story, right? Everyone's just living in the dirt with bugs and they're all dirty. During the 1500s, the life expectancy for the average person was between 30 and 40 years. Here we have the meal again, the fire, the pot, they just sort of leave it there hanging and keep adding meat to it. So, just the story, everyone was just this dumb peasant in the mud. The majority of families ate out of bowls carved out of wood and at times constructed out of a stale piece of bread. The bowls had a reputation for turning moldy and becoming infested with worms. Oh my God. So this is what they want us to believe about life in the 1500s. So let's go back. Okay, so here we are. We're on davidrumsey.com again, and this is the Cosmographiae Universalis. It is the atlas, no, the new atlas of the lands of the world, showing the empires, kingdoms, and states of the exact geographical legends. So that's the book we're going to have a look at. And to start with, I just thought we'd have a look at this. This is the first page, and quite interesting. We've got the two non-human type entities down here. This one looks a bit like, one of the creatures that we see, the monsters. He's got like bird feet, the chimera type things. And up here we've got two angels. And in the middle we have a very Monty Python looking god. But what I find interesting is we've got the land down here, the sun here, the moon here, and then through the middle of the sky we've got this big fire. What looks like a fire burst or energy, and God sitting above it. So what's going on there? Quite interesting. So let's go back and have a look at some cities from the 1500s. And here we have Paris, Gay Paris. And again, what do we see down here but huge walls around the city, big turrets, gateways, always built on or near water. This one has some canals going through it. Now, these canals look a little bit washed out. If we look up here, it looks like it's kind of come and washed the wall away a bit, because these aren't the normal canals, the nice uniform ones we see, but, probably the remnants of other canals. But look at the city in general. See any thatched roofs, straw roofs, dirt floors? I mean, look at this cathedral. It's got its own little walled enclosure, so that's probably the citadel. All built in, nice little, neighborhoods, I guess you'd call them, streets all set out properly, huge big towers everywhere. Obviously no problem building this, type of infrastructure, because the whole city's walled. Out here, we even have a windmill that's walled and houses everywhere. And look, this is like what, at least a 3-story house. And of course, it's probably old world, large stories. Here's some more walled citadels and things. And this city is Versanti, the largest city of the Sacani, having the metropolitan seat. It stopped a bit suddenly. So there you go, Visconti. And again, now up here we have, it's a single-headed eagle and the twin poles. Up on the hill here, we can see a big wall, complete with turrets and towers. Down here, a huge building with a huge tower. And again, the whole city is walled and completely built out with brick and masonry buildings. Okay, they got even looks like they got orchards and farmland here. They're growing crops. It's all set out nicely. And again, where are these people living in the mud that can't afford to have a bath more than once a year and have cats and dogs falling through their straw roof? This, we don't see it. But, they love to tell us through his story that that's all there was, because they're hiding an advanced civilization that was flourishing back then. And it looks like it got hit with a cataclysm, and a lot of it was taken out, and the opportunists came in and took over. I mean, look at this part up here. It looks like seating. Looks like you can sit down on a grandstand and look at the city. Don't know. Okay, so this is Rome. Romana. So this is Rome back in 1572. And wow, look at this. Look at the size of these horses. What is going on there? I don't know. Are they real? Are they some kind of statue? Very large people. I mean, maybe it's one big statue. Another huge person there. Look at these. What they kind of look like observatories. Here's another one. Massive towers popping out everywhere. Columns. I mean, look at this place. This has the river going through it. See, we've got bridges over here. Not sure what's going out there. Houses coming out into the water. A big waterway, stone bridges. Completely walled again, with all our turrets and towers, doorways. 1572. And again, actually this doesn't look like to be that much mud around at this point, does there? I was going to say people might have been living in the mud if after the cataclysm, but this looks, I don't know, this looks kind of pre-cataclysm, doesn't it? That picture of France with the canals, don't know what's going on there. And look at this in the background. Look at this, citadel, I guess, right? It's a walled cathedral, which we normally find in the citadels. Up here, look at this, just jutting out of the hill, all walled, of course. And this is how they were living in the 1500s. Apparently not in the mud with straw roofs, but they were building they were at least had use of these buildings. In Rome, 1572. 72. Venice. Venice. And this is Latin, by the way. I can't read Latin, so I can't read it to you, but you can make it out, bits of it. This is Venice. So as we know, flooded city, but completely walled. Look at all these are all walled, these little island bits. Built out, massive cathedrals, domes, arches, the whole thing. Now, instead of being man-made islands, I'd say this is more, a flooded out city. Pretty sure that's what happened to Venice. That's why the sea people inhabited it, because it became the sea. And yeah, just the same thing, right? Completely built out city, tall towers, 3, 4, 5-story houses. These built right on the canals, and no thatched roofs, right? No dirty people who can't afford a bath. It's just all silly, all this kind of stuff they try and feed us. And of course, it's also that we believe that we're the epitome, right, of mankind. We're the greatest civilization ever. But we can't reproduce any of this. Now, this is the city of Sedan, with 2 castles and the cathedral church of Valeria. So again, look at this place. This is completely built out, walled again. Every city was walled, right, with these turrets. And of course we got told that these were just castles, basically, which is the citadel. Right, you can see the castle up here, walled off, but that's just a little tiny part of these walled star cities. And look at these just huge towers here. Like, imagine how tall they are, because again, they told us there was no skyscrapers, right? But look at the size of these towers here. And of course, another castle. Well, this is the Cathedral of Valeria. And we know it's a cathedral, right? Because crosses must be for the glory of God. Look at these popping out of a hill. This is coming out the side. So interesting, but this is how people were living. This is the cities of the 1500s. Okay, now this one is the most ancient city of Vanione. Vanione, did I say that right? And as you can see, this is more of a cityscape. We've got the river. Interesting, we've got a nice sort of stone arch with this. This bridge looks a little bit wooden, doesn't it? And just the same thing. Towers, castles, domes everywhere, walled city, arches, lots of weather vanes apparently. We know that's most probably Antiquitech antennas. See that one there. And just completely, this is not the story they tell us, right? Look at the amount of cathedrals just here. Look at that. But yet they try and tell us that everyone was living in the mud, couldn't bath themselves, right? Couldn't cook food, had to live in houses with rats and mice and bugs and all this stuff. But then we see this in 1572. The most prosperous city of Heidelberg. There you go, Heidelberg in Germany. What's this? Oh, look at that. Wheels, looking very much like the machine of Marley. Big water wheels, right? Interesting. Because we know there must be more of those, but they only sort of tell us of the machine of Marley, but that looks very similar. And of course, another city that's walled, completely walled, with all these towers and turrets. Massive castle up the top here. Well, and as you can see, this is walled, so that's like the citadel. Down here, look at the size of this church. That's massive. Because look, I mean, look at the size of this gateway and these towers. Because you can see this is a large building here, probably 3 or 4 stories, 5 maybe into the roof. These, are at least another third as tall. And they're really nothing compared to this thing in the background. And look at the tower on it. Look at this. I mean, this is, we could not replicate this city today. Yet, we're told that in the 1500s they had nothing, but no, they built all this. Here we've got canals going through, man-made canals through the city. There you go. Heidelberg in the 1500s. I'll leave the link to this book below as well, so you can have a look at this for yourself. Frankfurt, Germany. Okay, so now we have the double-headed eagle. Interesting. Crowned, of course. And, I mean, look at the size of this tower. Look at that thing. This again, 1572. And that's one huge tower. I mean, look at this tower here. Without the top on it, there's probably 4 or 5 stories. And it's just nothing compared to this. And the city's completely built out, completely walled, man-made canals. And it looks like they've got a lock here, maybe, to raise and lower the boats, because, yeah, it looks like this water level up here is higher than this. So, they've got a lot of tech going on here. Down here again, some kind of lock. And again, what have we got here? Big water wheels, right? Just like the machine of Marley. Look at that. So is this, another way that they were generating energy, electricity, and these were all ripped out because, they're in lots of these old maps. I've seen them on the internal canals, but I haven't seen the big ones like this in the outside sort of bigger canals and rivers before, apart from the machine of Marley. So that's very interesting. And you can see this is an island, and this is something we see with a lot of these old cities is they have these, the big rivers or canals, and they have this island, and it splits the water. And so on one side you get this small channel, but I was always wondering what they were for. But if that's because there's a big water wheel here and they're channeling the current through there, then it makes sense. That's what's happening here. You can see is that another water wheel there, mate? No, I think that's a house. So there you go, right? Look, massive bridge, and it looks like it even raises in the middle. It's raised, like a drawbridge thing. And of course, built on both sides of the river. Look at this place. It's just completely built out. And not a thatched straw roof in sight. Look at this place. Just completely built out. And of course, it has got canals running through it as well. But yeah, this is pretty high tech with all these locks and these big water wheel machines and drawbridges, all back in 1572, made by people who didn't know how to take a bath. And this says 1548, even earlier, Vienna, Austria. And, again, so different country now, but the same thing. Exactly the same. Big walled city on a river, towers everywhere, massive oversized cathedrals, right, and churches and whatever else they're called, basilicas, towers. Look at this bit of antiquitech popping out. And just, yeah, complete high-tech city that we could not replicate. But they tell us that in the 1500s, no, everyone was stupid. Didn't even know how to feed themselves properly. But they could build a city like this. Obviously. This is the city of Cheb. Now we're in the Czech Republic. And again, right? Exact same thing. So, this is what we talk about all the time. It's the same all over the realm. It's the same blueprint, walled city with round turrets with these, pointy pinnacle sort of roofs, oversized cathedrals, right? All of these sort of, spires and things going up into the ether, towers everywhere, arches. It's just all the same. Canals, in through the city and always built on water. It's all just the same. All right. Now this is called Monstra Marina Terrestria. So these are some of the monsters from the water, apparently. Quite interesting. So up here we've got, looks like he had some hot chili, this one. But we've got some kind of normal looking animals up here. And then in the ocean, look what we've got, all these sea creatures. You see this one a lot, this big fish. Giant lobsters. Of course, big sea serpents and mer people. Okay, now this is Constantinople. Istanbul, now Constantinople. Look at this. Again, you can see this is the wall part. This is the citadel built on the water. Look at these ships. They're huge. And that's another thing, right? They could build all these ships and everything, but they couldn't, build a bathroom, apparently. But same thing, right? Big walled city. Look at this big, massive tower here. Nice ball on top. More sort of fenced off areas with castles and things. Don't know what that is. Bit of a crane. Oversized, cathedrals and bits and pieces. That one looks a bit smashed, doesn't it? Canals going through the city. All man-made, massive domed buildings. What we're told is Greco-Romano. Oh, look at that. Wow, man. They've got their own Colosseum. Interesting. And look, a pyramid. More of these columns that we can see everywhere, but this has had a bit of destruction around this city, Constantinople. But I mean, Constantinople was constantly being attacked. So who knows? Another massive palace here. Look at that. So this is really what was going on in the 1500s. Not people sitting in the mud. This is Jerusalem. Same thing. And of course, Jerusalem is full of, these half moons, right? I mean, look at this. So this looks like it's had a bit of a deluge go through it. These sort of look a bit sunk in the hill, and this wall kind of disappears. But the main city here is walled, some pretty fancy gates there. And the same thing. I mean, look at this tower. How many stories tall is that? And it's like I said before, they told us that, first skyscrapers, early 1900s, 1920s or so. But look at these things. Mate, look at the size of this. Towers everywhere. Oh, and this is a rhinoceros. Is that got armor on? Don't know. Kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Like it's a battle rhino. And then, well, what is this dude doing? Yeah, this chicken legs and God knows what kind of hands they are. Double horns. And now this one it's the same date, 1572. I think it is just from the same book now, but this is Peru. South America, guys, Peru, 1572. When they turned up, this is what they found. Again, big walled cities, right? Looks exactly the same. This one's, set out in a square, not on the water, but as you can see, the river's up here and they've got canals running through the city. And up here, their big walled citadel. and, 3-4 story houses, brick, masonry, everywhere. And then out in the countryside, they've got a few more. So this is what was really going on in the 1500s. This is Peru, guys, South America. And there you go. That is the end of our little adventure, our little wander through the realm in 1572. So as I said before, the story they give us is that we were just all these hopeless peasants, couldn't look after ourselves. And, so that builds their story of that now we're the best we've ever been, right? We're at the epitome of humanity and technology and all this other stuff. But as we see back in the day, things were much, much different than they tell us, much more advanced. There was definitely an advanced civilization that was wiped out by some kind of cataclysm. And then those who wished to rule us basically moved in and took over. And of course, we have, the disjunct, the orphans, the orphan trains. And here we end up in 2022 in the middle of another reset. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. More proof that it's his story. It's not our story. It's made up. History is written by the winners. And it looks like we didn't win after the last cataclysm. So it's definitely time that we took that position back. And a big thank you to everyone who supports this channel in whatever way you do, by sharing, by supporting me through PayPal, all that kind of stuff. I really do appreciate it. So have a magnificent day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.